Good morning, one and all. In this video, we are going to see the important agronomy MCQs taken from previous years. Okay, so remember one thing, for every MCQs we are teaching today, you don't need to memorize the answer. So you will have to understand why it is correct and why the other options are wrong. So that's how you can easily crack the exam. So in that way, we will solve the each and every questions. The first question is the lowest area under irrigation in Tamil Nadu is. So the option given for this are Tirunelveli district, Nilgiris, Tanjore and Kadalur. So the correct option is Nilgiris, where you can notice the lower area that is kept for irrigation. Okay. So what may be the reason, the thing is that rainfall, Nilgiris, this particular area gets more than 2000 rainfall annually, right? So that is, two times more than the most the areas of the Tamil Nadu. Crops like tea, coffee, carrot that can easily grow. Okay, and farmers don't need to irrigate. So in the agriculture data, this is called rain-fed farming. And another reason is terrain problem. Nilgiri's elevation will be more, right? It may be more than 5,000 feet, okay, with a 30-degree slope. So you cannot build canals on the steep hills. So tanks usually won't hold the water. Bore wells are very expensive and unreliable on rock. So irrigation infrastructure itself, it is very lowest in this area. And third important reason is crop type. So the main crops cultivating in these regions are tea, mostly, more than 50% area coming under this tea cultivation and followed by coffee, vegetables and all. So none of the crops actually need flood irrigation like rice. Okay. So tea generally hates waterlogging condition. So if there is too much water means it will kill the plant. So even if the farmers had canals, they won't be using that for this particular reason. So that's why the correct option is Nilgiris. And why others are wrong, you'll have to know that also. So Tirunelveli district usually it is hot and very dry in summer, and there will be no water, no irrigation as well. So dry places generally need maximum irrigation. So this won't be the correct answer, right? So because there will be the Tamrabarani river, which is the perennial river, and the tanks will be there more than 2000 plus irrigation tanks will be there. That is called land of tanks, usually called during the British period. Okay, and the crops also grown in this area are rice, banana, sugarcane. They particularly need more than 1000 of water. Okay, so usually rain gives only 700 rest comes from the irrigation. Okay, so since it is a high irrigation area, this Tirunelveli district wouldn't come for this the particular question. Okay, Tanjore also, because students may think that Tanjore soil is naturally fertile, farmers don't need to irrigate. But the reality is that it is fertile because of 2000 years of cover irrigation. Cover irrigation was there. Okay, so that's why the soil is fertile. Anyway, the rice needs 5 feet of standing water, and it needs irrigation water as well. Okay. And also Tanjore district is known as rice bowl of Tamil Nadu. You know the reason. And the Kadalur district, this is also students may be confusing with that because you know this is the flood prone area, no need for irrigation. But the reality is floods usually destroy and they don't irrigate. But crops still need controlled water. Okay. Because there also the rice, groundnut, sugarcane will grow. They need the water. So kind of irrigation water also be there. Okay. So the correct answer is Nilgiris. Next question is autumn planting sugarcane is planted during. So autumn planting means that sugarcane generally planted in the autumn season, right? So the options given for this are September to November, June to August, December to March, and December to January. We have to find out which season is autumn season. So the correct answer is September to November. Okay. And because this timing usually works because southwest monsoon just entered, right? So the soil may have a good moisture, but they may not be having the waterlogging condition, but the temperature is still warm at 25 to 32 degree Celsius for proper germination. So sugarcane generally takes 12 to 15 months. So September to November planting means that the crops gets northeast monsoon as well. Okay, that usually rains October to December for the early growth. Then summer irrigation will be there, and that will become then the sugarcane will become ready for harvest by December to February, right? Next year. So exactly when the sugar mills in Tamil Nadu start crushing, right? So TNE and Sugarcane Breeding Institute Coimbatore officially called September to November the autumn season, which is the perfect planting stage for sugarcane in Tamil Nadu. Okay. And why others are wrong? June to August, which is wrong because it's Atsoli season, right? It's like a Kharif season. And it is not a perfect condition for planting sugarcane. In Tamil Nadu, heavy June to July, during the period where we can expect the rain. Okay, so it may cause the waterlogging condition and so that our sugarcane set will be rotted. Okay. Plus, autumn season hasn't even started yet. So this season is not optimum for this. And December to March is the spring season, not the autumn season. So winter has already started and the temperature will below the 25 degrees Celsius so that the germination will be very poor. Okay. And December to January it is a wrong version, like a wrong answer. So the thing is that the correct answer is September to November. It is a autumn season. It is a perfect and optimum season for growing sugarcane in Tamil Nadu. Means that it is having the post monsoon as well as pre-winter season, right? So that is September, October, November. Okay. If September is not in the option, you can eliminate it. Okay. So the correct answer is September to November. The next question is groundnut is intercropped with. Options given for this are rice, pigeon pea, coconut, and eucalyptus. And the correct answer is pigeon pea. Because this usually follows the classic agronomy principle of combining short duration crop with the long duration tall crop, right? So groundnut usually matures in 3 months, 90 to 110 days, and grows only 30 to 40 centimeter tall. But whereas in the case of pigeon pea, which grows only, uh, 1.5 to 2 meter tall, which is somewhat taller than the groundnut. And also it takes 150 to 180 days to mature. So it will get easily harvested first, and pigeon pea continues in the same field, meaning that there will not be any competition between them for sunlight as well as for space. Both are legume crops but have a different root depth. Okay, because groundnut may have a shallow root using top 30 centimeter soil, but pigeon pea has that deep tap root using 1 to 2 meter soil. So they don't usually fight for water or other nutrients. So this system is called groundnut plus pigeon pea intercropping system. Usually can be planned as 6:1 or 8:2. Okay, if you're raising 6 rows for groundnut, 1 row can be allotted for pigeon pea planting. Or else you can go for 8:2. It is a standard PNU recommendation pattern for this particular intercropping system. So that it gives the higher yield and fixes more nitrogen since it is a leguminous crop, and also there will not be having any competition. And why others are wrong means that rice usually it is wrong because rice needs a flooded condition, right? It needs 5 to 10 centimeter standing water for more than 100 days. While groundnut dies in the waterlogging condition that you may be knowing of it, right? So their water necessities are usually opposite. So intercropping is agronomically impossible. And groundnut is again wrong because it is a plantation crop with 7 to 8 centimeters spacing. So it requires more spacing. Okay, and more canopy area also. So groundnut needs the full sunlight. It needs full sunlight, right? And it is grown as a field crop for only 3 to 4 months. Okay, but you cannot fit a short annual crop under the perennial tree. So this would be the multi-story cropping, but not the standard intercropping. And the eucalyptus option is again wrong because this is a tree with the allelopathic effect. Allelopathic means its roots and leaves generally releases the chemical which may inhibit the germination of nearby crops. So it also sucks the massive groundwater and competing with the groundnut if you're going with the intercropping with this particular crop. So if it has grown in a firm boundaries generally, not as the intercrop one. Okay, so the simple thing is short plus tall. Short one is groundnut and somewhat taller than groundnut is pigeon pea. And one should be the deep root, another should be the shallow root. Okay, and the requirement will be different so that there will not be any competition. The correct answer is groundnut plus pigeon pea can be recommended as the intercrop. The next question is the foliar spray recommended for rice fallow pulses in Tamil Nadu is. What is rice fallow pulses? Means that generally the pulses can be grown or sown immediately after the harvesting of rice in the Kaveri Delta region using the soil moisture pattern because there, no fresh irrigation is required. Okay. Since the soil may be wet and puddled from the rice, roots cannot take up the nutrients properly from soil. So foliar spray can be generally recommended. Okay. So the options given for this are DAP, that is diammonium phosphate, but the percentage given for this particular question is different. You will have to, be so conscious about it. 5%, 2%, 10%, and urea 5%. So TNAU, our TNAU Agriculture University specifically recommend DAP 2% spray because DAP, which is the diammonium phosphate, right? It has 18% nitrogen and 46% phosphorus. Okay, and phosphorus is highly recommended. It is critical for pulses at flowering stage for pod setting and nitrogen boost that is required for initial growth. Okay. So the thing is that 2% DAP is generally recommended means that 20 gram of diammonium phosphate can be taken and it is dissolved in per liter of water or 1 liter of water. 2% means 2 ml in 100 ml of water. But when it comes to 1 liter, 20 gram of DAP can be dissolved in 1 liter of water. So this concentration gives the nutrients without burning the leaves. So the spray is generally done 25 to 30 days after sowing and again at 45 days in order to prevent, flower drop so that we can increase the yield. And why others are wrong means this 5%, 10% is too concentrated. It is having very much concentration for the foliar application. So it will generally causes the, leaf scorching or burning symptoms in the leaves. Okay. And urea 5% is again wrong because urea gives only the nitrogen, right? And no phosphorus is having. Rice follow pulses generally suffer from the phosphorus deficiency, not nitrogen deficiency. So since soil phosphorus gets fixed in the puddled rice condition. Okay. So in the rice cultivation, rice puddled condition, soil phosphorus gets fixed in the puddled rice, in the soil itself. so that we should externally give the phosphorus. So since the urea is not having the phosphorus thing, it is rejected. Okay. So TNU recommendation for urea spray is 1 to 2%, and that too for cereals, not for pulses. Okay. So thing is that always when choose the DAP 2% when it comes to rice, follow pulses. If you see higher percentage like 5, 10, eliminate immediately. Because foliar spray is always, less than 2 for the most of the nutrients to avoid the burning effect. Okay. The next question is Striga is an important weed in which crop? So the options are rice, sugarcane, Bengal gram, black gram. And the answer is sugarcane. So Striga, which is also known as witch weed, and also it can be called parasitic weed. It generally attached to the root of the host plant, like sugarcane, and it will start sucking the water and nutrients from the sugarcane. So it is a major problem in sugarcane because Striga specifically attack crops in the grass family like sugarcane, sorghum, maize, and all. Okay. So this sugarcane usually grown in red sandy soils of Tamil Nadu. So this is exactly the condition where the striga allows to grow. Okay. So the weed seeds germinate only when they detect the chemical from the sugarcane roots. Okay. Then they latch on and stunt the cane growth. So if there is an infestation, means there will be the yield loss 20 to 80% noticed in sugarcane. Okay. So, and sugarcane being a 1 year crop gives Striga enough time to complete its life cycle as well. So, TNU lists Striga's number one parasitic breed of sugarcane in Tamil Nadu, especially in Salem, Erode, and Namakkal district and all. And why others are wrong means rice is usually wrong because it is usually grown in the flooded condition, that is anaerobic soil, where the Striga seeds are not able to grow. They need a aerated and dry soil to germinate and cannot survive under the standing water. And the Bengal gram, chickpea, these are all the pulses, right? So thing is that Striga usually attack cereals and grasses, not the legumes crops. Okay. And Bengal gram has its own parasitic weed, Orabank. Orabank usually grows on tobacco, Bengal gram and all, not Striga. Okay. And black gram, which is again the leguminous crop, so it is not an option for us. Okay. So if you see striga or witch weed, you have to immediately link into sugarcane, sorghum, or maize. If you see over a bank or broom rate means that you'll have to uh, link with the Bengal gram, tobacco, mustard, and all. Okay. And also you'll have to know the striga is the partial root parasitic weed on sugarcane. Okay. Next question is minimum tillage can be practiced by. So the options for this are complete disc ploughing, rows on tillage, complete disc harrowing, complete cultivar ploughing. So the correct answer is row zone tillage. So minimum tillage means that we should disturb the soil as little as the possible to save time, moisture, and soil structure and all. So rows on tillage does the exactly the same. You till only the narrow stripe or zone where the seed row will be planted. Okay, so only the small zone or narrow or row can be tilled where the seed row can be planted and leave the entire interrow space undisturbed. So this can be reducing total tilled area to just 25 to 30% of field, and also it controls the weed in the crop lane also. Okay, and why others are wrong means others can be indicating the full or complete you are breaking or plugging, means that you are inverting and breaking the entire soil in other cases. So disc plow usually cuts 20 to 30 centimeter deep and turns 100% of soil. So that's a conventional tillage, that is opposite of minimum tillage. Okay. And complete disc hollowing. So here also, it is also the wrong for the same reason. Complete means full field coverage. Full feed is completely harrowing. Harrowed. Harrowing means the secondary tillage, but if done on the whole field, it is still the maximum disturbance, not the minimum. So wherever the minimum disturbance is there, that is called minimum tillage, where the row zone tillage is minimum. Okay. And these are all the maximum disturbance one. Again, complete cultivar clubbing. This is also wrong again due to the word complete. So cultivar breaks a solid, but if you run it on 100% area, you have done full tillage. So these are all the trap word complete. It is wrong for this. So minimum tillage usually practiced by row zone tillage. That is a minimum. Only in the row. Okay. The tillage is done. And the next question is the accuracy of long range weather forecasters. So the options are more than 80%, 60%, more than 90, and more than 70. So the correct answer is 60%, which refers to the forecast accuracy. Means that out of 100 long range weather forecast made, about 60 forecasts are expected to be correct, while about 40 may not be matching the actual weather. Okay, for example, if the meteorological department issues 100 seasonal rainfall forecast, means around 60 forecast will correct. Okay, so that will correctly predict whether rainfall will be above normal or below normal. So around 40 forecast may be incorrect or less accurate. Okay, so the long range forecast predict the weather weeks or months in advance. Okay, so many factors may be changing during this time. For example, wind patterns, atmospheric pressure, ocean temperature. This may change during this weather forecasting because those factors are difficult to predict. So the accuracy is lower than the short-term forecast. Okay, so the correct answer for this is 60%. Okay. So thing is that this long range for weather forecasting usually predicts the weather beyond 10 days, often for weeks to months. Okay. And why others are wrong means that short range forecast, which usually predicts 1 to 3 days. Like, short range means 1 to 3 days, where it can be predictable and the accuracy also may be more. Around 80-90% we can expect. If there was a word short range weather means you should pick the answer more than 80. Accuracy will be more. Okay. And more than 80 or more than 90 also. More than 90. So medium range may be more than 80. That is usually predicted within 4 to 10 days. Okay. And long range means more than 10 days to months. So that is moderately about 60% only. So 60% doesn't mean there is a 60% of chances of getting there. It means the overall success rate of long range weather forecast accuracy only 60%. Okay. And remember one thing, short range means usually 1 to 3 days. Accuracy is more than 90. Medium range is usually 4 to 10 days. And accuracy is more than, 70, 70, 80 and all. Long range usually 60% because it is usually predicted beyond 10 days to months. And the next question is, what is NCMRWF? So you should also study the aggregation versions of the different institute as well as different, the weather forecasting centers and all. So NCM or WF is National Center for Medium Range Weather Forecast. This is, located at Noida, and it usually comes under Ministry of Earth Sciences. So this center is specifically made to develop the weather models for 3 to 10 days forecast. That is, medium range, right? If it is 1 to 3 means that is a short range. If it is more than 10 days means that is long range. So this center is specifically designed to develop the weather models for medium range forecast. Okay, so that it can give the forecast to Indian Meteorological Department and the farmers through the agromet advisory services. Okay. And why others are wrong is that B is usually wrong because it is meteorological region is made up. So no such term is relevant to this weather and all. And C is micro research and not this relevant to the short range, medium range weather forecasting. Okay, so the correct one is medium, not meteorological, micro, or New Delhi central medium range. So these are all the some confusing terms. And the next question is, priming is a post-harvesting process, and this is usually carried out in which crop they are. And the options given for this are coconut, tobacco, black gram, rice. And the correct answer is tobacco. So before this, you should know what is priming. So in general, this word priming has two different meanings. You don't confuse them. One is seed priming, means that before going for sowing, the seeds can be soaked to speed up the germination. That is seed priming. Another one is post harvest priming. That is what tobacco priming is. Okay. Usually, what happen? Harvesting mature the tobacco leaves one by one from bottom to top as they ripen instead of cutting the whole plant. Okay, means that it is a selective staggered harvesting of tobacco leaves by plucking them individually as they ripen, starting from bottom to top. So that is called priming, tobacco priming. So this method usually ensures that each leaf is picked at its peak maturity, and it is widely used for high quality cigarette and wrapper tobacco manufacture and all. Okay, because tobacco leaves do not all mature at the same time. Harvesting them all at once would result in the varying quality, and that will completely mess up the harvesting the tobacco leaves. Because the ripening process is not even or complete at same time. Okay, the oldest or the lowest leaves on the stalk usually mature fast. So they are harvested in the intervals of 7 days to weeks. Then they will move forward or upward through the plant as they ripen. So this is how the tobacco priming is done. Farmers usually know a leaf is ready for priming when it becomes floppy and loses its stickiness and starts to turn yellow. So based on the color development, they can easily identify whether the leaf is, ready to harvest or not. Okay. And why others are wrong is that, coconut, the post-harvest processing is dehusking. That is copra drying, not priming and all. So that is completely relevant with this. And black gram, this is the leguminous crop. Here, the post-harvest process comes like threshing and winnowing and all, not like a priming. Okay. And rice, the post-harvest process, which include uh, threshing, parboiling, milling, and all. So none of these options usually use the priming as a harvest method except tobacco. So that's why. Okay. If question says post harvesting means you should pick the tobacco. If question says pre sowing seed treatment means you should pick the priming for seeds, because priming is having the two different meaning as I said before. Okay. So the correct answer is tobacco. And also you should know the one more thing, like one more advantage of this priming is that By taking only the ripe leaves, the remaining leaves get more sunlight, energy, nutrients from the stalk. Okay, so that the overall body and texture can be improved. Okay,